The sun dipped low over the small town of Willow Creek, painting the sky in soft pinks and oranges. The air carried the faint scent of freshly cut grass and blooming honeysuckle. At the edge of town, the Willow Creek Community Center stood, its red brick walls weathered but warm, like an old friend. Inside, the hum of fluorescent lights filled the hallways, and the faint squeak of a mop echoed through the empty spaces. It was late afternoon, and the building was quiet, save for the steady rhythm of a janitor's work. Henry Baxter pushed his mop across the linoleum floor, the soapy water leaving a glossy trail. He was tall man, broad-shouldered, with graying hair tucked under a faded baseball cap. His hands, calloused from years of labor, moved with practiced ease. Henry liked the quiet of the community center after hours. It gave him time to think, to let his mind wander over the years he'd spent in Willow Creek, years of small joys and quiet sorrows. He'd been the janitor here for nearly a decade, and the rhythm of his work was as familiar as his own heartbeat. Down the hall, in a glass-walled office, sat Eleanor Grayson, the CEO of Willow Creek's Community Outreach Program. Her desk was a sea of papers, grant applications, and budget spreadsheets. Eleanor was in her late 40s, with sharp green eyes and a no-nonsense ponytail. She'd moved to Willow Creek 2 years ago, taking the helm of the struggling community center with a fierce determination to turn it around. She was good at her job, great, even above the weight of it pressed on her shoulders. The center was always one bad month away from closing, and she felt the responsibility like a stone in her chest. Today, though, something else weighed on her. Her daughter, Lily, sat in the corner of the office, her small legs dangling from a chair. Lily was 7, with big brown eyes and a tangle of curly hair tied back with a pink ribbon. She was coloring a picture of a sunflower, her crayons scattered across the floor. Eleanor glanced at her daughter, her heart softening. Lily was the reason she kept going, even on the hardest days. But being a single mom wasn't easy. Lily's father had left when she was a baby, and Eleanor had been carrying the load alone ever since. She loved Lily fiercely, but sometimes she wondered if she was enough. The community center was a lifeline for both of them. It was where Eleanor worked long hours, and where Lily spent her afternoons after school, doing homework or playing in the rec room. It wasn't perfect, but it was their routine, their little corner of the world. Still, Eleanor couldn't shake the feeling that Lily deserved more: a family, a father, someone to share the load. Henry, meanwhile, was finishing his rounds. He pushed his mop bucket toward the office wing, humming an old country tune under his breath. He liked these quiet moments, when the building felt like it belonged to him. As he neared Eleanor's office, he heard a soft giggle. He paused, peering through the glass. Lily was holding up her drawing, showing it to her mother. Eleanor smiled, but it was a tired smile, the kind that carried the weight of too many long days. Henry didn't know Eleanor well. They'd exchanged polite nods, maybe a few words about the weather or a leaky faucet. She was the boss, after all, and he was just the janitor. But he'd noticed the way she carried herself, as strong, but stretched thin. And he'd seen Lily, always trailing behind her, a bright spark in a world that could be so gray. He was about to move on when the office door swung open. Lily stepped out, her drawing clutched in her small hands. She looked up at Henry, her eyes wide and curious. "Hi, Mr. Henry," she said, her voice soft but clear. "Hey there, Lily," Henry replied, leaning on his mop handle. "That's a nice picture you got there." She held it up proudly. "It's a sunflower, for Mama." "It's real pretty," Henry said, crouching down to her level. "Your mom is gonna love it." Lily smiled, then tilted her head, studying him. Henry felt a pang of something, maybe the memory of his own daughter, now grown and living far away. He hadn't seen her in years, not since the divorce. The thought stung, but he pushed it aside. Lily's next words came out of nowhere, soft and serious. "Mr. Henry, are you my new daddy?" The question hung in the air like a bell that wouldn't stop ringing. Henry froze, his breath catching. He looked up, his eyes meeting Eleanor's through the glass. She'd heard it too, and her face was a mix of shock and something else, embarrassment, maybe, or fear. Henry was speechless, his mind scrambling for something to say. Lily just stood there, waiting, her big eyes searching his face. Eleanor stood quickly, her chair scraping against the floor. "Lily, honey, come back inside," she said, her voice gentle but firm. Lily hesitated, then obeyed, clutching her drawing as she slipped back into the office. Eleanor stepped out, closing the door behind her. She looked at Henry, her cheeks flushed. "I'm so sorry," she said, her words rushing out. She doesn't usually say things like that. "I don't know where it came from." Henry straightened, his hand still gripping the mop handle. "It's okay," he said, his voice low. "Kids say all kinds of things." Eleanor nodded, but her eyes were troubled. "She's been asking about her dad lately. I don't know how to explain it to her." "Has a broken bar not in the picture?" Henry nodded, understanding more than he wanted to admit. He'd been the absent father, not by choice but by circumstance. Life had a way of pulling people apart, even when they didn't mean for it to happen. "She's a good kid," he said finally. "You're doing right by her." Eleanor's smile was small, but it reached her eyes. "Thanks, Henry. That means a lot." They stood there for a moment, the silence stretching between them. It wasn't awkward, exactly, just heavy, like they were both carrying something they couldn't quite name. Then Eleanor turned back to the office, and Henry pushed his mop bucket down the hall, the squeak of the wheels filling the quiet. Over the next few weeks, Henry couldn't shake Lily's question. It followed him through his rounds, lingered in the quiet moments when he swept the gym or cleaned the windows. He started noticing Lily more, her laughter in the rec room, the way she'd wave at him when she saw him in the halls. And he noticed Eleanor too, the way she'd linger in the doorway, watching Lily play, her face soft but tired. One evening, as Henry was locking up the rec room, he found Lily sitting on a bench, her backpack beside her. She was alone, her crayons scattered on the floor. "Hey, Lily," he said, pausing. "Where's your mama?" "She's in a meeting," Lily said, not looking up. "She's always in meetings." Henry hesitated, then sat down on the bench, keeping a respectful distance. "You okay?" he asked. Lily shrugged, her small shoulders rising and falling. "I just want her to be happy. She's always so busy." Henry's heart ached. He knew that feeling of wanting to fix things for someone you loved but not knowing how. "Your mom is working hard for you," he said. "That's what parents do." Lily looked up at him, her eyes searching again. "Do you have a family, Mr. Henry?" He took a deep breath. "I did. Got a daughter, grown now. Don't see her much." "Why not?" Lily asked, her voice curious but not accusing. Henry looked at the floor, the weight of years settling on him. "Sometimes life gets complicated. People make mistakes. I wasn't always the best dad." Lily was quiet for a moment, then she slid closer, her small hand resting on his arm. "You're nice, Mr. Henry." "I bet you were a good dad." The words hit him like a wave, gentle but overwhelming. He swallowed, his throat tight. "Thanks, Lily," he said, his voice rough. When Eleanor found them a few minutes later, she paused in the doorway, taking in the scene. Henry stood, feeling like he'd been caught somewhere he shouldn't be. "Just keeping her company," he said quickly. Eleanor smiled, and this time it wasn't tired. "Thank you, Henry," she said. "I appreciate it." As the weeks turned into months, something shifted in Willow Creek. Henry started lingering after his shifts, helping Lily with her drawings or fixing a wobbly chair in Eleanor's office. Eleanor started seeking him out, asking his opinion on small things: a broken lock, a new paint color for the rec room. They talked more, their conversations stretching beyond work into stories of their lives, their losses, their hopes. One spring evening, as the community center hosted a talent show, Henry found himself sitting next to Eleanor in the audience. Lily was on stage, reciting a poem she'd written about sunflowers. The room was filled with applause, and Eleanor's eyes shone with pride. Henry felt it too, a warmth he hadn't known in years. After the show, as families milled around eating cookies and lemonade, Lily ran up to them, her face glowing. "Did you like my poem?" she asked. "Loved it," Henry said, ruffling her hair. Eleanor laughed, her hand brushing Henry's arm. It was a small gesture, but it felt like a bridge between them. Lily looked up at them, her eyes bright. "Mr. Henry, you're staying for cookies, right?" "Wouldn't miss it," he said, grinning. As they stood there, the three of them sharing a plate of cookies under the soft glow of string lights, Henry felt something settle in his chest. It wasn't the answer to Lily's question from months ago, but it was close. They weren't a firmly and not yet, Maybe not ever in the traditional sense, but they were something. A janitor, a CEO, and a little girl with a sunflower drawing, finding their way together in the quiet corners of Willow Creek. The community center hummed around them, alive with laughter and possibility. And for the first time in a long time, Henry felt like he belonged.